Welcome back, guys. It's Danny, and we're back with another episode of Swim Good Podcast. This episode, we are deep diving into our girl Molly and Asian Bay Andrew. I hate calling him that. But yeah, well, let's talk about it. So, in this last episode, but really in season 4, Molly is really trying to get things right with Andrew, right? We know in the past that she has had some up and down relationships. When we first met Molly as a character, she was the woman who had it all career wise and just could not make her love life work. She was hot in the pants and fast and loose when it came to just trying out different guys and figuring out what stuck, and she had no shame in her game unless her friends called her out for her behavior. Now, throughout the seasons, Molly's been all about growth and really wants to have that forever partner. So, with encouragement from her girls, and really with the end of that Candace and Dro trifling situation in season 3, Molly has decided to go full throttle with Andrew. And so she's really given him a chance in this season. And we see that now they're in a relationship. We haven't seen that from Molly, right? We have not seen her, we've seen her date a lot of people, but we have not seen Molly in an actual relationship. So this is the first time that we're seeing her in the role of girlfriend. How is she doing? Well, I feel like Molly's biggest relationship in her life is her work. What do we know about Molly is she's extremely career driven, and since the beginning, we've known that she has been on that partner track. And she left her last job, well, not her last job, but I guess her last job. She left her last employer because she felt that she wasn't getting where she wanted to get. And we know that being on the partner track at her law firm is Molly's greatest focus. And we find that in season 4, she's really hit her stride at her new law firm. We see that she's in a better relationship with her female coworkers. She's communicating with Torian, the the Morehouse man at the firm, and he lives up to that. Um, she's trying to really be a team player in a way that she really hasn't had to be at work before, but she realizes in this new environment, this more Black environment, it's all about let's work together. And so she's really had to stretch herself to be a success at work. Um, in terms of how does Angel fit into this, we see that he comes over and she's got work to do. And it's only after work that they're able to really spend time together. It doesn't seem like Molly has a lot of time for Andrew because work is taking over her whole life. And she really neglects to consider Andrew's time in an effort to stay on top of that work. We see that some of her other coworkers, um, you know, made a decision to go home and to be there for their families. But when it came time to stay at work and get stuff done or leave and save it for another day, she continuously chooses Andrew. And is that a bad thing? Should we hold Molly, accountable for, well, should we hold her feet to the fire for being a hard worker? I don't think so. I think more than most of the other characters in Insecure, what we see from Molly is she had a different upbringing, right? Molly really was from the other side of the tracks. Um, Now, what that looks like, I lived in LA for several years in my 20s, and I think somewhere in the past season, um, When Issa was working at We Got Y'all, she mentioned that Molly never went to the beach. Even though she grew up in LA, she never went to the beach until she went to college. And Issa ends up sharing with Nathan when she's taking him on a tour of, of her beloved Inglewood, that she lets him know that Molly grew up in one area, but Issa grew up at the top of the hill, which is a more middle class to upper middle class environment. And she was there until her parents divorced when she was 16, right? So we know that Molly has a different motivation than a lot of her friends. They all want to do well, absolutely. But for Molly, she's trying to reach a new echelon for her and her family. Although her parents made it work with what they had, and obviously she's grateful for that. At the end of the day, Molly wants more for herself, and we cannot fault her for wanting that. Um, but she also has a lot of frustration with her dating life and trying to find someone who will really take her as she is and will climb the ladder with her. And what we know about Andrew, he works at Live Nation. We don't know exactly what he does at Live Nation, but he also seems to enjoy work. He seems to want to be that person for Molly, in terms of being flexible and a supportive partner. But we see that he makes time for her, while Molly makes him wait. And we really have to wonder, is Molly mistaking Andrew's patience for unconditional support? Is this a sustainable situation? Or will her relationship with work always supersede all of her other relationships? And if so, is that a problem? You know, um, one of Issa's main issues with Molly, and some of her other friends too, is that she doesn't really want to be happy. Like, Molly's always looking for the negative in a situation, and she says that she wants this relationship, but is she really willing to put in the work that it takes? Not even the work, but the time. Developing a relationship with another person takes a lot of time. And it's easy to develop relationships when you're younger, in school, and don't have as many responsibilities. Um, but once you get older and you have bills to pay, and there are things outside of work that are work adjacent that become important, right? Like going to I think we saw in previous seasons, we've seen Molly going to hockey games to try to get closer to the partners, to show that she can be down in any environment, right? That she's a guy's girl. We've seen her in the new law firm try to show that she's a girl's girl, right? She's trying to help wherever she can. And so there's things outside of the normal 9 to 5 that are still part of work when you're really trying to climb, to really be upwardly mobile, right? Um, and so for Molly, having a successful relationship is a goal. But I just always have to wonder, and you guys let me know in the comments, do you think that love will fill her cup more than personal achievement? I feel like Molly's greatest desire is to really hit that level of success that she's been working so hard for. And I think that for her, that's the ultimate. And yes, she's going to want to look to the side and see a partner to share that joy with. But at the end of the day, that's her greatest motivation, is achieving. And we have to really wonder, is Andrew willing to go all in with Molly? What do we know about Andrew? We know that he has family, but he doesn't talk that much about them. There may have been some issues. It sounds like one of his sisters was or is disabled, or perhaps maybe has some mental health issues that she struggles with. And we know that it's not easy for him to open up. Initially, Andrew was all surface. Their whole relationship Their early relationship was all surface and all sex. And now they're really trying to be more. But if he can't have that time, then how can they get there? Right? Um, if Molly continues to put Andrew on the back burner, even when other options are available for other people to step up, then is Andrew really willing to kind of take that risk? We know that people who are harder to open up take time. They're reading everything, right? And they're trying to figure out, is this situation, is this person safe for me to really put all of my focus into? Because really, those kind of people want to run back and protect themselves, right? Run back into their little shells and protect themselves. They don't want to get hurt. And so I just wonder at this point, because they have had several sort of start and stops between them, if for Andrew, that's kind of time that Molly's giving him, is it enough for him? Is it enough? So you guys let me know what you think about this latest deep dive, and I'll see you next time. Bye.